Developing right now on Morning News Now, escalation and frustration. Overnight, U.S. forces launching an 11th night of attacks against Iran, while on Capitol Hill, a war of words as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defends the war's $37.5 billion price tag and pushes lawmakers to approve almost double that amount to keep the military operation going.
You, sir, are the failure. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership? When will you show leadership? Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops?
Also today, President Trump set to attend a dignified transfer as the remains of some of the latest American casualties are brought home. We'll have the latest. Also, a trail of destruction across much of the East Coast after a day of wild weather. Severe storms ripping through entire neighborhoods with several reports of tornadoes. And now, Tropical Storm Bertha bearing down on the Gulf Coast. Angie's tracking it all. Plus, a fierce fight between two of the biggest weight loss drug makers taking shape in federal court. Why the company behind Ozempic and Wegovy says one of its main competitors is misleading the public. And espresso yourself. That's right, coffee lovers. We've got some news brewing for you. Researchers now say up to 5 cups of coffee a day isn't just safe for us, it could be good for your heart. We'll spill the beans on a new study that's got a lot of people buzzing. Then next week, we'll probably tell you that's too much.
That's too much.
For a different study.
If you've already had 5 this morning, that might not be recommended.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be a little much. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to begin this hour in the Middle East, where U.S. forces have finished an 11th straight night of strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command says the goal was to continue to degrade Iran's ability to hit commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump says the U.S. is not finished at all with strikes against the Iranian regime. That's despite his repeated insistence that they want to make a deal. His administration is facing intense scrutiny over the war's growing price tag. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth appeared before lawmakers yesterday to ask for $67 billion in funding after revealing more than $30 billion has already been spent. NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren is standing by with a deeper look at these developments. We begin, though, with NBC News Washington reporter Alice Barr, who has the latest developments. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said overnight Iran is not serious about negotiations right now, but that, quote, if they're serious, we're serious. That as President Trump comes face to face today with the war's devastating human costs. Today, President Trump is preparing to greet fallen American soldiers killed in Iranian attacks over the weekend and returning to Dover Air Force Base for a solemn ceremony.
It's a great honor for me to do it.
Just as we're learning more about the fallen, 30-year-old Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Swinton was killed in an Iranian drone incident in Iraq. His wife called him an amazing father and husband who cared for his soldiers. The devastated but proud mother of 25-year-old First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan said he was engaged and had big dreams. He and 19-year-old Private Isabella Gonzalez were killed in an Iranian attack on their base in Jordan. And overnight, the Pentagon identified 28-year-old Sergeant Angel S. Rampersad as the U.S. soldier missing since that same attack, now believed killed in action. As President Trump promises revenge, American forces unleashed another round of strikes against Iran overnight.
And we're not finished at all.
Iran is ramping up its attacks against Gulf allies, and on Capitol Hill, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a new price tag for the war, $37.5 billion. Though 3 U.S. officials told NBC News earlier this month the Pentagon's internal estimate was as high as $100 billion. Secretary Hegseth asking Congress for nearly $70 billion more to fund the war in a contentious Senate hearing.
You are asking for unlimited money for bombs when people can't feed their families.
Not unlimited bombs, Senator. I'm asking for the right bombs at the right time.
As lawmakers press for answers on the war's end. And there's this. Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen declared a Red Sea blockade on Saudi Arabia, increasing the threat to global energy supplies just as the national average for gas climbed back up over $4 a gallon. President Trump said he's not going to let the political impact on the upcoming midterms affect his decisions about the war. Savannah, Joe.
And Alice, President Trump is threatening to target another potential underground nuclear site in Iran. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, he's talking about Pickaxe Mountain and said on Tuesday that the U.S. would potentially attack what's believed to be a nuclear site buried deep underground, believed to still be under construction. Iran has been digging there, but it's not clear exactly what is buried. The president did acknowledge Iran may have moved important parts of its uranium enrichment program there. Iran, we know, has long denied that it's looking to build a nuclear weapon and now says targeting that site would be considered expanding the war across the region and that all U.S. interests and those of allies and supporters would be targets in turn. Joe and Savannah.
All right, Alice Barr, thank you.
Let's bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren. Colonel, good morning. Thanks for being here as always. So we just first want to get your reaction to Pete Hegseth's testimony on Capitol Hill yesterday. What does the size of the Pentagon's request for funding tell you about their state of readiness and about the direction of this war?
Sure. I think the first thing, Savannah, to remember is in all of history, in all of history of warfare, no general has ever said, thanks, I have enough bullets and I have enough gas and I have enough food, right? So I think that's the very first thing we always have to remember. The military always wants more. It's the job of the politicians to determine whether or not the money gets spent on guns or on, domestic butter. We like to say guns or butter. So I think that's the first piece of perspective we always have to remind ourselves. Second off, this is an expensive war. Warfare is very expensive, particularly this, because we are expending such a large quantity of our most highly sophisticated and also very expensive weapon systems. The Patriot missiles, the THAAD missiles, the use of aircraft carriers, the use of long-range bombers, all of this is very, very expensive. And we're seeing that price tag now, in yesterday's budget request.
So, Colonel, it's been nearly 2 weeks since the U.S. began these consecutive attacks day after day on Iran. Do you think they're close to accomplishing their goals, or does this budget request perhaps suggest there's a lot more work to do?
I think it suggests that there's a lot more work to do, Joe, to put it very simply. I think, these strikes began really as punishment to the Iranians for attacking commercial shipping in the Strait, even though they had signed on to a deal that said they wouldn't do that. That started as punishment. It is now, I believe, expanded into coercion. So we are now trying to coerce the Iranians back to the negotiating table. We know the Secretary of State last night just said that he believes the Iranians are not yet serious about negotiating. Well, that tells me that we intend to continue these pressure strikes, these coercion strikes, for several more days at the very least, potentially even weeks, until the Iranians do decide it's time to get back to talking.
Colonel, let's talk about Iran's side of this. They've also been stepping up attacks on U.S. allies in the region. We've also seen Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen declaring this blockade in the Red Sea on Saudi Arabia. We spoke earlier this week about the possibility of this expanding into this even wider regional war, and Iran is showing that it has this firepower, showing it has the ability to do these blockades that could ultimately threaten to strain the global oil supply. Do you think this is a growing possibility?
This is a growing possibility. We saw just last night there are reports that 3 Saudi-flagged oil tankers, or 3 oil tankers carrying Saudi Arabian oil, turned around before transiting through the Bab el-Mandeb Straits. They turned around after receiving the threats from the Houthis not to go through that strait. So it's already begun to have an impact. Now, keep in mind, the only other option is to go through the Suez Canal. And that poses its own set of problems in addition to the fact that it makes the transit significantly longer. So already we're seeing this begin to widen. What the Iranians are doing, they know they have to go back to the negotiating table someday. What the Iranians, I believe, are doing is trying to strengthen their position. The more they can prove that they have impact regionally, the more I think they believe they'll be able to get at the negotiating table. So it's the U.S. trying to coerce Iran to the table. It's the Iranians trying to prove that they deserve a seat at the table and get more of what they're going to ask for.
All right, Colonel Steve Warren, thank you so much.
In political news, we've got the results from the Republican midterm primaries in the battleground state of Arizona.
Yeah, NBC News projects Representative Andy Biggs has won the GOP primary for governor. The Trump-backed candidate will now face off against Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs.
Here to discuss that and more, NBC News political reporter Megan Brand. Megan, good morning. This was a pretty convincing win for Biggs. Tell us a little more about him and just his chances against Hobbs in a battleground state like Arizona.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, Congressman Biggs represents a district outside of the Phoenix area. He's represented that district for 5 terms, and he was endorsed by President Trump. He's also the former chair of the House Freedom Caucus, which is conservative. Now, notably, he has also questioned the 2020 election results. So his primary win sets up a race this fall against incumbent Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs. This is expected to be a really close race. It's a race that back in 2022, Governor Hobbs won her election by less than 1 percentage point. So it's a really interesting state to watch. Now, Arizona is also interesting because it's a state that in 2024, President Trump won, but also Senator Ruben Gallego, a Democrat, won that state as well. So in 2024, it went red for the presidency, but Arizona also has 2 Democratic senators and a Democratic governor. So a really interesting state to keep an eye on this fall.
Also, NBC News projects Arizona State Representative Alexander Culloden won his Secretary of State primary. What should we know about him?
Yeah, so Culloden has frequently questioned the results of previous elections, and he also notably led lawsuits to try to overturn the results of the 2020 and the 2022 elections in Arizona. Now, this is especially notable because the position that he's running for is Secretary of State, which oversees elections in the state. So some of the things that the Secretary of State is responsible for are things like certifying voting devices, certifying candidates to the ballot, and also certifying the results of statewide elections. Now, another interesting dynamic that I think is important to watch across all Arizona races as well is how independent voters feel about this. So Arizona has a large chunk of unaffiliated voters, so candidates are going to have to appeal to them as well.
Megan, while we're talking about voting, let's go to New Jersey. The governor there, Mikey Sherrill, revealed that there was a software error that registered 6,600 non-citizens to vote. What are we learning about this? Is it clear if this had any impact on any election results?
So the governor said that out of these approximately 6,600 non-citizens who were accidentally registered to vote, about 400 of them did cast ballots in previous elections. She said that these non-citizens were registered as Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated, and that while she said it's unclear which elections that they voted in, she said that there was no evidence that these votes swayed election results in any meaningful way. So in terms of why this happened, she said that it was the result of, quote, a serious software error in New Jersey's motor vehicle system. I do want to note, though, as well, that she said that this happened in 2023 and 2024, which was before Governor Sherrill was in office. Take a listen to how she addressed this.
This failure didn't occur under my watch, but accountability starts now. I think we're open to suggestions that make our elections more safe. And so that's part of what this investigation, they'll have findings on just what occurred. And we will be looking carefully at what we can do to make sure it doesn't occur again.
So the White House is weighing in with a spokesperson saying that, quote, this latest incident underscores the absolute necessity of the Save America Act. Now, Save America Act is a big priority for President Trump, and if passed, it would reshape how elections are operated in the U.S., but there's not enough support right now for that to ultimately pass, guys.
Megan, one more thing. Last night on Capitol Hill, the House passed the stopgap funding bill, but this was months before the shutdown deadline. So why? I mean, is this a case of Republicans trying to get ahead of a potentially volatile issue before the midterms?
Yeah, so the bill that the House had passed would fund the government through early December, meaning that if it ultimately was passed by the Senate, passed into law, it would mean, as you mentioned, that there would not be a government shutdown right ahead of the midterm race. But this really faces a big uphill battle in the Senate. There's not enough support for it to pass that 60-vote filibuster threshold. And so while Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said that he would give it a vote in the Senate, he also said, he mentioned as well, that this doesn't have all of the provisions that the White House wants to. So Republicans could ultimately try to pass a government funding bill through a process called the reconciliation process, which would basically allow Republicans to pass it with a simple majority, but that also limits the types of provisions that could ultimately be included in the bill. So right now, we are up against a funding deadline of the end of September, meaning that if Congress does not fund the government at that point, then we would see a government shutdown, which would happen shortly before midterm elections, guys.
All right. Megan Brand in Washington, thank you.
Well, the Trump administration appears to be preparing to launch a new round of global trade tariffs. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told CNBC to expect some action soon on new levies, one day after President Trump announced a 50% levy on some Canadian goods.
The president imposed a temporary blanket levy of 10% back in February. That was right after the Supreme Court struck down his reciprocal tariff regime. Those temporary tariffs are set to expire this Friday.
Here to discuss all this is Investopedia's editor-in-chief and chief business editor of People Inc., Caleb Silver. We also have NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas with us. Good morning to you both. Caleb, I'll start with you here on set. So it definitely feels like here we go again.
Yeah.
Let's talk first about Canada. What that looks like, what impact it's going to have, what goods we're going to see go up when these go into effect in August.
Well, hockey sticks, but what's not included is critical energy needs. So oil and gas from Canada is not included in that, but what is included is autos, auto parts, also hockey sticks, also dairy products as well. Some food that we get from Canada. We get a lot of frozen potato from Canada, but energy products are excluded. Now, Canada's saying this is a violation of the negotiations around the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which actually lowered those trade tariffs. But right now, the president has put those in place, and I would expect these new tariffs that the trade representative is threatening to come into place by 12:01 a.m. Friday. That is when 150 days expire from when the Supreme Court struck those other tariffs down.
Danny, let's dive deep into tax law here. Help us understand the legal provision the Trump administration is placing these tariffs under, something most of us are not familiar with. That would be Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930.
Yes, Section 338 is nearly 100 years old, and it's virtually never really been used. It allows the president to impose that 50% maximum tariff. So the president is maxing it out. And here's the appeal. It doesn't require an investigation. It doesn't require findings. It just requires a proclamation. So ease of use is the appeal to the administration. Whether it survives or it's still legally sustainable today, 100 years later, is another question that will certainly be litigated.
Caleb, let's talk through what happens globally now. What type of impact are we going to see on the global economy if the president essentially puts this structure back into place that seems like he's doing what he had done prior to the Supreme Court striking this down? What does that ultimately mean for the global economy?
Yeah, well, let's take Canada, for example. Canada is saying that these existing tariffs and the tariffs that are being threatened could slow its GDP down by 1.5%. So you bring that to around the world, to our biggest trading partners, you could see a global slowdown. Right now, the effective tariff rate is somewhere around 11%. If these new tariffs go into place, those that are being threatened or those that are being discussed, we're looking at an effective tariff rate at around 17%. Higher cost of goods for U.S. consumers, but also tougher for those countries trying to do business with the United States of America. So we're looking at higher prices pretty much across the board.
Danny, I have another deep cut in tax law for you. We're looking at Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. It's looking like those apparent forthcoming tariffs will be brought under that obscure federal law. Is it clear if the tariffs would stand up to legal scrutiny this time around better than these 2025 tariffs that were struck down by the Supreme Court?
It's not clear, but it's possible that they may be more resilient. If you go back to the law IEEPA never actually uses the word tariffs, and the court essentially said that this is something that lies in the province of Congress. You don't have the same thing with Section 301, but the bottom line is it is untested legally. So this is something the Trump administration, I've been saying for a long time, is very good at finding. They scour the dustiest of law books and find centuries-old statutes that are very broadly written. And then we find out what the extent of those statutes are when they go to court.
All right, Danny Savalas, Caleb Silver, thank you both.
Another round of violent summer weather hit parts of the country yesterday. In New Jersey, at least 2 tornadoes were reported just outside of New York City. The same storm also brought flash flooding that turned some roads into rivers across the tri-state area. Well, in the south, double red flags are flying in Panama City Beach, Florida, as Tropical Storm Bertha looms in the Gulf. Even though it's not expected to be a major storm, residents from Florida to Texas know the drill. They're filling up sandbags and getting ready, with Bertha expected to make landfall later today.
I'd rather take the necessary precautions that I need than have water coming in my house. You can never over prepare for something living down here.
Forecasters say Bertha could dump up to 6 inches of rain in some areas and create a storm surge of up to 4 feet. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin is following the severe weather all across the nation and has the latest.
This video appears to show a massive funnel cloud in New Jersey, just outside New York City. Round after round of severe weather bearing down on millions across the Northeast. This time lapse showing the storm rolling through Manhattan, with multiple tornado warnings west of the Big Apple, and at least 2 reports of twisters in Morris County, New Jersey.
This is a time to seek cover in a secure place.
Man, it shot through. The storm taking out trees and blocking lanes of traffic. Look what it did. Look at the trees. Floodwater swamping streets in Bergen County and torrential downpours across the tri-state area.
The rain is really coming down. The radar shows that lightning is on the way and we need to take cover.
The flooding as far south as Maryland. Drivers navigating flooded streets in Ocean City. And in the south, Tropical Storm Bertha looming in the Gulf. Double red flags in Panama City Beach, Florida, warning beachgoers to stay out of the water. Bertha bringing dangerous rip currents and waves up to 11 feet. Our George Solis in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, with people getting sandbags to protect their homes from flooding.
I'd rather take the necessary precautions that I need than have water coming in my house.
Meanwhile, in the west, monsoon rains inundating Prescott, Arizona. And in western Colorado, heavy rain sending mud and debris onto Interstate 70, shutting it down.
And here in New Jersey, I spoke to one man who told me that he was driving his car down this road when all of a sudden a wall of water just came gushing toward him, stranding him inside of his vehicle. He said the water was all the way up to that tree. You can see that the water now has receded. He's okay. His car has been towed, but it's a powerful demonstration of just how dangerous and fast these floods can be. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. It did come quick yesterday. Now we're continuing to track Tropical Storm Bertha, its impact on the Gulf Coast. So let's get more details with our Morning News Now weather.
That means Angie Lastman's with us now. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Lots to talk about when it comes to the weather, as per usual these days. But let's start with what you mentioned. Tropical Storm Bertha, right now 165 miles west-southwest of Panama City, Florida. You can see all of this kind of lopsided rain on the backside of this system. This is going to continue moving basically west over the coming days, and right now has winds up to 50 miles per hour. So here's how it plays out as we get through at least the next 3 days. Notice the extreme southern portions of Louisiana. You'll see that landfall here later today. This is going to, again, move west basically as we get through Thursday, we get through Friday. Most of that heavy rain is going to be on the Gulf side of this system, so it'll stay out over the Gulf. So we'll escape some of the worst of what we could have seen when it comes to rainfall from this system, but still having many of those alerts up, the tropical storm watches and warnings you can see stretching from Florida all the way back to Louisiana, including New Orleans, Gulfport, and Pensacola, as we gear up for some impacts when it comes to wind and a bit of rain, and as well as that storm surge from this system. There's those wind gusts, peak wind gusts, 30, 40, maybe 50 miles per hour plus if you get closer to the coast and extreme southern portions of Louisiana. This is going to be kind of just a gusty day for folks across this region, so heads up through tomorrow. We'll also see the potential for some inundation when it comes to storm surge up to 4 feet. These are peak storm surge values. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but still you might notice some of that water in areas that you don't often see it. And on top of that, we do have the potential to pick up some rainfall. But again, notice the heaviest of it is way to the southern portions of Louisiana, upwards of maybe 3-4 inches in those spots. And otherwise, all our attention is going to be on folks across the mid-Atlantic, where we've got flood alerts up, 13 million people impacted by this, and just kind of ongoing rain over the next day or two. This is what we'll deal with today. Notice that we do have some of these thunderstorms possible, with a slight risk of some of those kind of firing up into the afternoon hours. But this system kind of just stays hanging around, and that means so does the rain. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some minor flooding across parts of the mid-Atlantic, even the southeast for tomorrow. The good news is, as we gear up for some of that ongoing rain for tomorrow across the southeast, they need it. So this will be beneficial rain for folks in that region as we get through the day tomorrow, but we will have to watch for the severe weather today, guys, across parts of the mid-Atlantic.
All right, Angie, so much going on. Thank you so much. Well, this brutal summer heat, it's even affecting aquatic life in our oceans. Experts say the coast of California is experiencing the most shark encounters and sightings in a decade due to warmer waters. One sighting was caught on camera just this week. I mean, look at this. You can see here that is a great white shark swimming terrifyingly close to a group of kids in the ocean. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has a look at this phenomenon.
A shocking video off the coast of Southern California. A 10-foot great white shark spotted dangerously close to a group of children swimming north of Los Angeles. The kids seen smiling and even waving to the drone camera, seemingly unaware that the massive predator was just feet away.
I did get nervous. My heartbeat did go a little higher.
Carlos Gauna took the terrifying video from about a mile away.
I'm searching the shores, and this particular shark came from the depths, and I saw it near the swimmers. They definitely didn't have any idea. They waved at the drone.
The video highlighting what experts say is one of the sharkiest summers in a decade off the California coast, driven by an El Nino weather pattern that's warming up the ocean waters, leading to more shark sightings, including incidents like this, a heart-stopping moment in June as a curious shark circled a surfer sitting on his board. But despite the uptick, Chris Lowe of California's Shark Lab tells us that luckily for those in the water, this doesn't actually mean more shark attacks.
So we don't necessarily see a big correlation between shark bites and strong El Ninos. What we do see are more sharks.
So many that...
So there's a shark right there swimming behind you.
See it? Right behind me.
Look at that.
There were several swimming by during our interview with Carlos.
This is life every day right now. This summer is insane.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
Wow. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, an emergency overseas, a series of massive wildfires spreading across Europe. Now there are growing concerns about whether the mafia may have been involved. We'll explain.
Up first, though, after the break, searching for answers, new developments in the death of Mississippi teen Nolan Wells, who disappeared during a 4th of July boating trip. A new video that could shed light on the moments before he went missing. We'll be right back.
We're back with another piece of the puzzle as investigators try to figure out what led to the death of Nolan Wells. New video has surfaced, shows a man who could be Wells seen in the hours before he disappeared. Later today, his family is expected to release the preliminary results of an independent autopsy report. NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist has the latest details.
New video shows what could be an image of Nolan Wells on the day he went missing off the Mississippi coast. TMZ posting this video they say was taken on Horn Island on July 4th, the last day the 18-year-old was seen alive. The clip appears to show a man standing on the back of a boat bending over. The man's face is never seen, but the shorts the man is wearing are similar to shorts Nolan had in other pictures from that day. NBC News was able to match the location to previously verified video of Horn Island from that day. Two people who knew Nolan say they believe it looks like him, but they can't be certain. Nolan went to the island with friends on July 4th. His body was found 2 days later. It's unclear whether Nolan was with anyone when he disappeared. The boat in the video is not the same one Nolan took to Horn Island that day. TMZ reports that the video was dropped off to the Jackson County Sheriff, and investigators are aware of the clip. NBC News has reached out to the sheriff's office and the family's attorney about the footage and has not heard back from either. Melissa Miller spent the 4th of July with her own group of friends on Horn Island.
It's not uncommon for people to, take different boats back because, it's a big boating community. A lot of people know each other.
Meanwhile, the family's attorney says they'll announce preliminary findings from their independent autopsy. All of this as some question if this video could reveal new clues about Nolan's last day. Aaron Gilchrist, NBC News, Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
Well, in news from overseas, firefighting crews are working around the clock to fight several massive fires burning in Europe. Officials say many of the fires appear to be sparked by the record-breaking heat wave that's scorching millions of people across France, Spain, and Italy. But as wildfires in Sicily burn out of control, some are asking if the mafia might have started any of them. NBC News international correspondent Claudia Lavanga has a closer look at the criminal organization's history with wildfires.
Plumes of smoke filling up the skies as wildfires break out across Sicily. You see planes here flying low, dumping water to tame the fires. One local politician posting, "We saw families fleeing from their homes with what they had in their hands." Several cities on red alerts and under evacuation orders during Italy's peak tourism season. Europe's record-breaking heat wave, along with dry conditions, fueling massive wildfires across the continent. So far this summer, France getting hit. And over in Spain, firefighters battling a blaze as more than 1,000 people evacuate their homes. It follows last year's historic high for wildfires ravaging across Europe. And while officials in Sicily haven't signaled any foul play, blaming the flames on the heat and strong winds, that hasn't always been the case. In 2023, massive flames surrounded Sicily's capital city, even shutting down the main airport. The mayor of Palermo saying at the time, according to local reports, "These are serious crimes like those committed by the mafia. They are crimes against humanity." All raising the question of whether there is a darker cause behind the devastation. In 2022, an anti-mafia commission looking into the cause of Sicilian wildfires interviewed a local official who said many who've been indicted have been found to be mafia members, even connected to the Sicilian Cosa Nostra. And a UC Berkeley study found over 70% of wildfires in Sicily in 2021 were caused by arson, specifically tied to vendettas, land disputes, protests, and weaponization of fire by the mafia. It also cites testimony in 2017 that fires will be intentionally set for profit-seeking. For example, to transform rural land for building or development, or to create temporary employment opportunities. Now, with an island on edge, the heat and fires impacting local water supplies, no indication of any arrests. Emergency responders work to extinguish the flames, then attention will turn to who is responsible. Claudia Lavanga, NBC News.
All right, coming up, we're going to switch gears here on Morning News Now. Just brew it. You heard that right. Coffee lovers, new research shows you can have multiple cups of coffee. In fact, go ahead, we're told, and have 5.
My friend Dr. Akshay Syal is here to spill the beans on the link between caffeine and your cardiovascular health. Up next in our weekly checkup, we'll be right back.
We're back now with our weekly medical checkup. This week, good news for caffeine lovers. New research is adding to the conversation about just how much coffee is safe to have each day.
Plus, we'll talk about new heart health guidelines and who should be taking medication.
Here to break it all down for us, NBC News medical reporter, Dr. Akshay Syal. All right, so let's start with the coffee study. 5 cups a day, which I have, as someone with a history of rapid heartbeat, I'm probably not going to do that. But why can some people do that?
5, just to be clear, 5 8-ounce cups, not 5 grandes at Starbucks.
Okay, there we go.
We want to limit to 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. This is a statement, guys, from the American Heart Association. So, the question I get most often is, every day I open up a news app and it's coffee's good. The next day it's coffee's bad. This is a pretty bold statement from the American Heart Association, a reputable organization, looking at a lot of data and saying, up to 400 milligrams of coffee is safe for most adults. People with heart problems, you don't want to go that high. People who are pregnant, you want to stay to 200 or less. Kids under 12 should not be having caffeine. It can affect social development. And
don't give your kids 5 cups of coffee.
Correct. Please don't do that.
Is it that it's safe or it's good for your heart?
So there's 2 components, Savannah. One, that it's safe, it's okay. And 2, there is some other research separately sort of linking moderate coffee consumption to lower risk of heart failure, heart disease, even type 2 diabetes. There's one aspect, obviously, is the caffeine. It can affect blood pressure, and there's evidence that people, who drink coffee regularly have lower blood pressure. But also, there's antioxidants and other things in the coffee itself that may be playing a role here. So this is my favorite doctor's orders, I think, since we've started Morning News Now doing this roundup. It is get caffeinated. It is okay. But guys, know the limits. 400 milligrams for most people, 200 for pregnant and kids under 12. Just stay away right now.
Also, this doesn't mean have 5 sugary, like, all your sugar and all that crap.
Exactly. No pumps of, vanilla syrup going in there. That negates everything. Forget it.
Okay, let's talk about another heart health one here. This is new guidelines about who should be taking statins, how we're fighting heart disease. What do we know here?
So this was a big thing sort of in the medical community for a while. The cholesterol guidelines got updated in March. I think we talked about it when it came out. This study is sort of saying that over half of Americans should be taking statins. Do you guys know what statins are?
Yes.
Medications to lower cholesterol. Many, many millions of people are on them. The problem is sometimes we wait too late to start them. Historically, we typically wait until patients are 40, and these guidelines sort of saying, you know what, we can start as young as 30 years old. High cholesterol is a very treatable problem, and we know it's linked to heart disease down the line. Why not start early? Why wait so long? So this sort of study kind of saying more people are eligible, so more people should be screened, and more people should be talking about it with their doctors. But guys, doctors' orders for people watching, know your family history. If you're, I saw somebody the other day who's in their 20s, has multiple family members with high cholesterol. They have high cholesterol just in their 20s, so we're already addressing it that early. So make sure you are getting screened. You can start as young as your teens. And there is something you can do about it, including medication.
Finally, we do want to hit on a serious one. A new study finds spouses of people with dementia may actually be at higher risk of developing it themselves. Explain how that's even possible.
It's fascinating, right, Joe? These people sort of, when you talk about people in the same household sort of developing the same conditions, we've seen it with obesity, we've seen it with diabetes. Now this study is suggesting there may be a role in dementia. It's a study out of Taiwan where they sort of followed people over decades, and they found that, people who were in the same household, people who were married, 74% higher risk of dementia. We don't know why. We don't really have a good reason why. Dementia is not contagious. It's not that, you transfer it to your spouse, but there are significant lifestyle factors that go into dementia, whether it's lack of exercise, whether it's your diet, whether it's your oral microbiome, are you brushing? So there may be some sort of role there. So doctor's orders for people watching, over half of cases of dementia may be preventable. Nobody really talks about that. So know the risk factors. Know that there is something you can do.
Wow.
Basically, anything that's good for your heart is good for your brain. And ask for help if you are a caregiver. There may be a higher risk, and I don't want to burden caregivers too much, but it is something they should be aware of going forward.
Conscious of. All right, Dr. Sayal, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Info. Thank you.
Anytime.
Well, as health officials continue to investigate this growing cyclosporiasis outbreak, shoppers across the country are looking for safe options when it comes to lettuce. In Missouri, farms are seeing a surge in customers looking for locally grown leafy greens. Reporter Megan Kernan from our NBC affiliate in St. Louis has more.
More than 200 Missourians have gotten sick in a cyclosporiasis outbreak linked to contaminated iceberg lettuce. Now, it's changing the way some people shop.
I am very concerned about the lettuce. I actually called them before I came in. So I've eaten here several times, and I know they grow it next door. And so I just called to make sure that they didn't get any outside lettuce that would be contaminated.
Tasha Wilson says she wanted reassurance before ordering lunch at Neon Greens in the Grove, where most of the lettuce is grown just steps away.
We have gotten some calls, and to be honest, I wouldn't expect any less. Our customers care so much about the food that they eat, and that's why they have a relationship with us, and we have a relationship with them. It's all about food transparency.
Over in Maryland Heights, local growers at Tease Farm say they're hearing the same concerns. A humorous Facebook post joking that their lettuce has an alibi quickly racked up thousands of likes. And owner Dave T says now they're seeing a surge in customers.
It seemed like this past weekend it kind of kicked in, and we had a lot of calls, a lot of emails about local lettuce. We ran out of lettuce this weekend. And we didn't have time to go out and cut more, but we cut some this morning, so we'll have it for the next couple days for sure.
These long rows aren't planted in soil, they're hydroponically grown. And as concerns over contaminated lettuce grow, Neon Green says more customers are choosing to buy their lettuce closer to the source.
We prioritize hydroponic produce because hydroponic lettuce has a closed loop water system, meaning that we use treated water and we recycle that water, we reoxygenate it, we add nutrients to it to ensure the safety.
All right, our thanks to Megan Kernan for that report.
All right, coming up, 2 weight loss drug giants are taking their rivalry to federal court. The company behind Ozempic and Wegovy now suing one of its biggest competitors over what it claims is false advertising. Our friend Brian Chung is here to help break down the lawsuit.
Plus, a little renovation inspiration with home sales reaching record highs. We'll get some tips on the small changes that could make a big difference when you put your house on the market. Stay with us. Morning News Now. We'll be right back. We are back with the start of a fierce legal battle between the makers of some of the world's most popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy, filed a lawsuit in federal court against rival Eli Lilly yesterday, accusing the company of false advertising.
Lilly makes the competing drugs, Mounjaro and Zepbound. Novo claims Lilly violated federal laws by deliberately misleading the public with the comparisons it makes in its recent ads on the effectiveness of its weight loss drugs. Now Lilly is defending its ads, saying they're based on the results of a head-to-head clinical trial. The spokesperson said the company will, quote, continue to focus on the science and defend against this lawsuit vigorously.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung is here with more on this. Brian, good morning. So just let's dive more into exactly what it is that Novo Nordisk is saying Eli Lilly's ads do to mislead people.
Yeah, so first off, again, we are talking about these weight loss drugs. So Novo Nordisk has this drug called Wegovy, whereas Eli Lilly has this drug called Zepbound. And Eli Lilly had this television ad for Zepbound in which they claimed that Zepbound would lead to more weight loss than their rival Novo Nordisk Wegovy. Now, Novo Nordisk says that that particular ad they describe as maliciously and deceptively false. Novo says that they relied on outdated data in that comparison. And they also say that that comparison was unfair because it was comparing a higher dosage of Eli Lilly's drug versus a lower dosage of Novo Nordisk's drug. But as you point out, Eli Lilly's response to that is, well, look, we were using this head-to-head study, but, you know, you have Novo Nordisk saying that was from 2024. So it's a little bit of he said, she said here. Lilly saying they'll continue to focus on the science and defend the lawsuit vigorously. But look, this is in a very competitive GLP-1 space. And even though you see these companies go after each other historically when it comes to drug patents, you know, these advertising lawsuits are a little bit more uncommon.
Yeah, there's a lot of money at stake here. We're used to maybe seeing pharmacy companies go after each other for like patent infringement or something like that. But false advertising is something that's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, although, I mean, you know, we see these types of ads on TV all the time, and it's not uncommon for some of these ads, if there's any study where, you know, one company can say, well, our drug is more effective than the other, then you would imagine they would probably want to use that. So Novo Nordisk is kind of saying, look, I mean, that data is old, and we don't think that that comparison was fair because of the dosage amounts. So it's kind of a tricky situation here where, again, this is two large companies. This is a very, very big industry. You would understand why they would be fiercely competitive. By the way, that is the ad right there. You see Zepbound 50 pounds against Wegovy 33 pounds. There's a small footnote which even Novo Nordisk appeared to take acknowledgement of, but you know, these are very fast-playing ads. It's not like the case. I mean, there's a lot of words on that screen.
You're not reading all the little small print on the screen?
Screenshotting
Maybe that person was like in that auctioneer speed reading it.
Right.
You know, when they're like, side effects may include blah, blah, blah.
And it's like, is it technically in the ad? Yes. How prevalent is it? And can people understand the nuance of that difference? I think that's a separate question.
What's just like the competition between these two companies, like in general, when it comes to sales of these drugs?
Well, I mean, you know, we've been talking about the popularity of GLP-1 drugs for, you know, over a year now. And so it's no surprise that this is expected to be a very lucrative business. You have Morgan Stanley that says they estimate the GLP-1 drug industry to be worth $190 billion by 2035. So the big two players are right there. It's Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. And I should also point out, in addition to drugs like Zepbound and Wegovy, there's also Ozempic and Mounjaro. Ozempic is Novo Nordisk's product, whereas Mounjaro is Eli Lilly's product. They have a vested interest in making sure that both of those drugs and all the various forms that they're offered in are in as many hands as possible. And so that gets at the false advertising suit that Novo Nordisk is claiming.
When it comes to this lawsuit, what's the remedy that Novo is seeking here? What is it they want?
Well, Novo wants Eli Lilly to take these ads down. And I think that that's going to be something that a judge is going to have to, you know, take a look at based off of specifically these findings. And I think that whatever a court decides here is going to hinge very largely on the specific study that Eli Lilly had in this ad. Eli Lilly seems to think that it's the gold standard. Novo Nordisk seems to think that that's outdated and unfair. What does the judge decide? If the judge sides with Lilly, they'll keep the ads. If Novo Nordisk wins in that case, then presumably Eli Lilly will have to take those ads down.
All right, Brian Chung, thank you.
It may come as no surprise that home sales are starting to hit some record highs in many markets. It's leading some patient owners to finally cash in. But if you want to sell your home, experts recommend putting some work into it first. It doesn't have to be a big, expensive renovation. In fact, realtors say sometimes these smaller cosmetic fixes like fresh paint and lawn care can make the biggest difference. NBC News Daily anchor Vicki Nguyen shows you how to spend less to earn more.
They say first impressions are everything, and nowhere is that truer than when selling your house. Experts say potential buyers make decisions in the very first minutes of seeing a home. Albert and Amy Alcantara thought they'd have to spend big to renovate their older home in New Jersey before listing it for sale.
With the kitchen, do we actually get all new cabinets? Do you get all granite? If we had to redo bathrooms as well, you could probably close to at least $75,000 to $100,000.
Because that's what you hear sells houses is kitchens and bathrooms.
But a new report finds it's the cheaper, simpler renovations that may offer the biggest returns.
Why are these small, inexpensive cosmetic fixes so impactful to a potential buyer?
Cosmetic fixes give the buyer a sense that this home's been cared for. It'll be solid and safe for their family.
Andy Bell is CEO of Ace Handyman, a national home contractor service affiliated with Ace Hardware. In their survey, they calculated which renovations brought the largest returns on investment when selling a house. The most profitable upgrade? Not a new kitchen, bathroom, or roof, but a new garage door, offering a 268% return on investment.
If you put $6,000 into a garage door, you're going to see $14,000 or $15,000 in value in the price, and it does help curb appeal.
The Alcantaras don't have a garage, so they hired Ace Handyman to give them some of the next most profitable upgrades, including refurbished front and back doors. Ace Handyman found they offer a 216% return on investment.
We sanded it all the way down to the wood, we reprimed it, and we put it back to that nice black color that's also matching the shutters around the house.
And instead of replacing their old kitchen cabinets, outdoor deck, and fireplace facade, they simply patched and painted them, making them look brand new at a cost of just a few $100.
You took it from the 1990s to 2026.
To 2026 right there, and we didn't put anything in the landfill doing it. We used everything that was here.
Love that.
Awesome.
He says other cheap fixes offering big returns include basic lawn care and refinish hardwood floors. Both create the sense of a newly refreshed home at a fraction of the cost. The couple's realtor also recommended deep cleaning their house to increase that sense of freshness.
What are some things that are an instant turnoff for a potential buyer?
Smells in the house that are unappealing, eliminating anything that has to do with pets. A lot of people light candles when they sell houses. There shouldn't be any smells that could be distracting and overwhelming.
In the end, the Alcantaras spent about $3,000 on these fixes. Bell says the return could be up to 5 times that when selling their home.
How surprised were you that it only takes these small changes for a potentially very big return when you go to sell?
I think it was fantastic. At the end of the day, we look at this and we're just absolutely amazed.
Vicki Nguyen, NBC News.
All right, coming up, one of Team USA's Golden Girls flipping back into action.
I've kind of gotten my glow back, and it's just really exciting. I love getting to come back and seeing all of the little kids.
That's right, 6-time Olympic medalist Suni Lee, the pride of Minnesota, officially training for the 2028 Olympics, and her journey to LA starts in her hometown. We're going to take you there next on Morning News Now.
We're going to end this hour with the countdown to the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. One of the most anticipated events of the Games is the women's gymnastics competition. And already some veterans are vying for another run with Team USA.
Monday marked day 1 of training for Minnesota native Suni Lee. The 2-time gold medalist is looking to make her 3rd trip to the Olympics. Morgan Wolf from our Twin Cities affiliate KARE 11 caught up with Lee and her coaches.
Elite gymnastics is built on precision, but Olympic athletes are built with trust.
I mean, I've been here my whole entire life, and also Allie and Jess are like my parents. We've been through so much together, I honestly couldn't see myself in anybody else, and I wouldn't want to do this process with anybody else.
Suni Lee knew exactly where she wanted to train for her 3rd Olympics, home.
And it's just really exciting. I love getting to come back and seeing all of the little kids.
Her journey to Los Angeles has officially started.
First day 1.
With her day ones.
I think it's been fantastic. Honestly, it's been a really good full circle moment.
You've probably realized by now that Jess and Jeff Graba aren't just co-coaches, but
just that.
Twin brothers.
Opened up our gym right out of college. My aerospace engineering
degree is going to great use.
Suni walked through the doors of Midwest Gymnastics at 6 years old and has been training with Jess and his wife, Allie, ever since. Then she joined Jeff's college team in Auburn.
He was in Tokyo calling me at 2 a.m. and we never stopped.
I didn't know it was 2 a.m. his time.
I told him to stop calling me and call his wife.
But through it all, they've always been in tandem, caring and training for her.
They understand me and how I work as an athlete, but also just as a human.
It's just too much work to do something like this.
Not have fun doing it?
You better have fun doing it, and you better enjoy who you're doing it with.
Surrounded by people who believed long before the rest of the world did.
His birthday's the same day as mine.
And we get along so well. They know me better than I know myself.
It's on camera. It is the same day. You don't have to text one of us and double check.
Ready to laugh and get back to the work that made her a champion.
I've kind of gotten my glow back.
Our thanks to Morgan Wolf for that report. The Team USA Olympic trials for women's gymnastics will take place in June 2028 in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll be cheering on Suni Lee as she aims to compete in her third consecutive Olympic Games.
It is nice that she doesn't have to remember 2 different birthdays, just one. That
No
is
kidding.
convenient. That will do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, bracing for impact. More devastation from Mother Nature, ravaging the East Coast with severe summer storms. They even spawned a handful of tornadoes in New Jersey. Well, folks down south are preparing for the wrath of Tropical Storm Bertha, which could make landfall later today. Angie is tracking it all for you in just a moment. Also this morning, the cost of war. The U.S. launching yet another night of attacks on Iran. Well, in Washington, fresh fallout over the war's skyrocketing price tag. How much the Pentagon is now requesting from Congress, and the eye-popping figure already spent on a conflict with no clear end in sight. Plus, it was the high-stakes heist seen and heard around the world. A brazen daylight jewel robbery at the world's most famous museum. This morning, months later, the Louvre's famous Apollo Gallery reopening to the public. Those precious crown jewels still missing. New questions swirling around that mysterious theft. And later in the hour, why more couples are embracing the romantic side of travel, booking trips just because, but only if the price is right. Don't need an anniversary or a birthday. Just go because.
Vacation.
We'll dip into that with Katie Nastro later on. Our top story once again this hour, the dangerous weather that is moving across the country. This latest round of severe summer storms is pummeling the eastern half of the country. Meteorologists say at least 10 tornadoes were cited from New Jersey all the way to Arizona yesterday. Well, in West Virginia, the governor is calling on the National Guard to help with evacuations and to clean up the damage caused by the flash flooding there.
This is all as people all along the Gulf Coast are racing to prepare for Tropical Storm Bertha, which could make landfall in Louisiana later today, bringing heavy rains and storms, surges up to 4 feet. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin is in Purchase, New York, and has the latest. Aaron, good morning.
Hey there, while it's not confirmed, all signs point to this being the work of a tornado taking out a large chunk of that tree. The power line along with it, one of several to touch down in the tri-state area.
Another round of intense summer storms from the Northeast to the Midwest. Fierce winds, rain, and even tornadoes touching down in multiple states. Twin funnel clouds spotted in Kentucky and lightning striking right next to a twister. Homes destroyed. Farther east, at least 3 tornado reports in New Jersey.
Look at that, man. It shot through.
The twister snapping trees and sending debris onto this highway. One tree even landing on top of a car. And a waterspout forming in the stormy sea off the coast. Flash flooding creating chaos in West Virginia, with first responders making multiple water rescues, including at this Walmart parking lot, as the heavy rain continued elsewhere, pounding New York City.
The rain is really coming down. The radar shows that lightning is on the way and we need to take cover.
New York Yankees throwing practice interrupted by a sudden downpour, and floodwaters causing chaos for drivers in the area. One New Jersey man even had to climb on top of his car. And at airports, a major travel headache Tuesday.
I guess I'm just hanging out at the airport for a little while.
Thunderstorms fueling ground stops with hundreds of flights canceled or delayed for hours.
I have never been stranded. We can't get a flight home till Thursday at 6 a.m.
All this suspected tornado action is relatively rare for this area. The National Weather Service will be out in force today, surveying sites like this one. We should know the exact number of tornadoes to touch down in the tri-state by the end of tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.
As we said, Tropical Storm Bertha is churning in the Gulf, packing sustained winds of 50 miles an hour.
Meteorologists expect that it will make landfall near New Orleans later today and could cause some localized flooding.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News correspondent George Solis. He's in New Orleans and joins us with the latest. George, good morning. Just set the scene for us. What's it like there right now?
Yeah, hey, good morning, Joe and Savannah. Right now, wind slowly starting to pick up, but of course we expect that to only increase as Tropical Storm Bertha approaches. Right now, it seems that the largest impact is going to be for those coastal communities, as most of this rain appears to be impacting the Gulf, but still some areas already starting to see some of that flooding. And the concern, of course, is always a storm surge. Here in the metro area of New Orleans, of course, the Emergency Operations Center is already in effect, and in and around the city itself, communities and parishes are preparing. You saw some people there, sandbags, collecting them and putting them in their cars to fortify their homes. Folks here in New Orleans know that this is nothing to play around with. They have been around the block before. They say they always want to prepare for the worst and always hope for the best with any type of rainfall here. Officials saying it's still going to be an all-hands-on-deck operation regardless of what this storm does. I will say right now, because of what this storm is doing, it does seem to have just attracted a lot of heat here. It has been oppressively hot, so in a way, some of that rain is welcome. But right now, of course, nobody hoping for anything catastrophic beyond that. Guys?
This area was just hit by Tropical Storm Arthur last month, we know. So how are people preparing for this latest tropical storm?
The people that I've been talking to tell me they have been going to the stores, getting their batteries, getting their non-perishables. They want to make sure they have everything they need should they need to hunker down. I mentioned some of the communities and parishes here have been doing 24-hour sandbag operations, even offering volunteers to help load them into people's cars. We caught up with some residents who were in the process of doing that yesterday. Here's what some of them told me.
It wasn't supposed to be that bad with Arthur. We ended up with 6 tornadoes.
Some people lost their homes, are still trying to get ready for that and get prepared for that. So we have a lot to be worried about.
Yeah, it does appear again, the wind's starting to pick up again. You might see some of those clouds looking a little bit more ominous. And as you mentioned, that landfall expected here sometime today. Guys.
All right, George Solis. George, thank you so much.
Well, let's get a closer look at what we can expect from Tropical Storm Bertha with our Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. Let's start with Tropical Storm Bertha. The latest details coming out just a little while ago. We've got winds still at 50 miles per hour, now about 45 miles to the northeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River. So still moving pretty slowly westward here, and most of that heavier rain kind of centered out over the Gulf, although you can see a couple of those bands kind of stretching into parts of Mississippi and Alabama, dealing with some kind of scattered showers across that region at this hour. Here's the track through the next couple of days, moving westward pretty consistently, likely to make landfall here later today across extreme southern portions of Louisiana. The good news is all of that heavy rain will stay out over the Gulf, so we aren't looking at wildly impressive numbers when it comes to rainfall amounts as this system kind of skirts that Gulf Coast. But still, there will be some impacts when it comes to wind and potentially storm surge. Here's the location now, and here's where you can see all those tropical storm warnings are up and down the Gulf Coast from Louisiana to Florida, with us gearing up for maybe 30, 40, 50, even 60 mile per hour winds in some spots. The farther south you go into extreme southern Louisiana, that's where you'll see those stronger winds closer to the coast. But otherwise, Mobile, Gulfport, New Orleans, anywhere from 25 to 35 mile per hour peak wind gusts through at least tomorrow. So kind of a gusty day across that region, and the potential for some storm surge, kind of pushing that water up against the coast as the system works to the west. This leaves us with peak storm surge values 2 to 4 feet. I think you'll likely see some kind of inundation across some of these lower lying areas across that region. And on top of that, picking up some additional rainfall. Again, most of the heavy rain well out into the Gulf waters, but still maybe 1 inch to 3 inches, localized amounts up to 4 inches. But I think they're going to be few and far between and way into portions of southern Louisiana. Meanwhile, we've got some flood alerts that are up across the mid-Atlantic. This is where all the action is today. We've quieted things down across the Northeast, not so much for the mid-Atlantic. Might see a couple of kind of streaming showers across the Northeast, but for the most part, it's quiet there, and all the action, including the severe weather, is going to be across parts of Virginia and North Carolina, even Maryland included in this as well. We're going to see likely some heavy rainfall, not just today, guys, but tomorrow, too, as this system kind of sticks around, leaving us with some much-needed rainfall, but still, we've got saturated ground, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some flooding across this region, too.
Wet day ahead. All right, Angie, thank you so much. In the Middle East, the U.S. has wrapped up yet another night of strikes on Iran. It was the 11th straight night of attacks. And it comes as the Trump administration faces growing questions about the skyrocketing cost of the war. The Pentagon is now asking Congress for an additional $67 billion in funding after revealing more than $30 billion has already been spent. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Haake is live in Washington with the latest. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yeah, 11 nights of strikes with no real end in sight. The U.S. hitting targets in Iran that included aircraft hangars, drone storage facilities, and command centers, according to the Pentagon. All targets designed to downgrade Iran's ability to threaten shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. But now the war's cost, both in terms of American lives and those dollars, is becoming more clear, even as how the war ends remains difficult to see. American forces pounding targets in Iran again overnight as the conflict appears to be swinging back towards full-scale war. The president now saying U.S. strikes against the Iranian regime he has repeatedly declared defeated are far from over.
We're not finished at all, but if we left right now, it would take them a long time, years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now.
The president adding that he won't let the political impact of the increasingly unpopular war on the approaching midterms affect his decision-making.
I'm just going to do the right thing. I don't view it as, gee, we're having an election in a period of time.
Iran also stepping up attacks on U.S. allies in the region, targeting Amazon's data infrastructure in Bahrain and radar systems in Kuwait. This as the Trump administration provides a staggering new price tag for the conflict, $37.5 billion. But an internal Pentagon estimate shows the true cost could be as high as $100 billion, according to 3 U.S. officials and 3 people familiar with the matter. That figure includes the cost of repairing damaged U.S. bases, replacing destroyed aircraft, and fully replenishing expended American weaponry.
Pursuing a nuclear capability.
In a fiery Senate hearing, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asking for nearly $70 billion more to fund the war.
This is a new request based on new realities of a world we face.
The defense secretary facing pointed questions from some members of President Trump's own party.
We need some hard answers and some straight talk.
And clashing with Democrats about the way forward.
You, sir, are the failure. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics?
And it comes as the human cost is also growing, with 18 American service members killed in the war so far. The Pentagon overnight identifying one of the troops believed to have been killed in action at a base in Jordan as 28-year-old Sergeant Angel Rampersad. President Trump will be confronted with the human cost of this war when he attends a dignified transfer at Dover Air Base later this morning. He'll observe the return of the remains of the 4 service members killed in the conflict in the last week and meet with their families. Joe?
All right, Garrett, thank you so much.
Well, the captured former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, are due to appear at a Manhattan federal court later today.
The hearing is going to focus on discussing the upcoming schedule for their drug trafficking case. Both were captured in Caracas in January by U.S. forces and brought to New York to face charges, and both have pleaded not guilty.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos is here to talk with us more about this. Danny, good morning. So a court filing last night, it revealed that prosecutors and defense lawyers, they proposed a June 2027 start to the trial. Is that a typical timeline for a case like this?
If this were a street-level drug case, no, it wouldn't be. The Speedy Trial Act requires that trials have to happen within 70 days. But the reality is that law is a kind of fiction. Cases that are complex routinely get pushed out. And this one is about as complex a drug trafficking case as you can get. Not because of the drugs, but because of the defendant, who he is, and how he got here to the United States.
So, Danny, we also learned that lawyers proposed Maduro's first round of legal motions, those motions to try and just have the case dismissed. That's going to start September 2nd. It's also expected to include a motion to have the case dismissed based on what's known as head of state immunity, not something most folks can try and claim or argue. What is Maduro's team going to be arguing there, and how do you see that going?
It's a relatively novel issue. Arguably, it's come up before, as in the Manuel Noriega case, but there are some major facts that make it different here. And this one is probably going to be a loser for the defendant because it turns out that the same executive branch that prosecutes a defendant is the executive branch through the Secretary of State that determines who is a head of state. And it's pretty clear here that the executive branch, the Department of State, and the government do not consider Maduro to be a legitimate head of state. So that defense is not likely to be successful.
What about another tactic Maduro's defense team may make here is this legality over his capture? Is it clear if his team has a strong case there?
This is probably even a weaker argument for the defendant because for about over a century, the courts have said essentially that it doesn't matter how you get a defendant here to the United States. Once he's here, the courts can exercise their subject matter and personal jurisdiction over that defendant. So this may even be a violation of international law. But even if so, it may make no difference as to whether or not U.S. courts can prosecute a person once their body is here on, well, I shouldn't say here, I'm in the U.K., once their body is on U.S. soil.
All right, Danny Savalos, thank you so much.
Today, the family of Nolan Wells is expected to release new information on the independent autopsy that was conducted following his death.
The 18-year-old went on a boat trip with some friends to one of Mississippi's barrier islands over the 4th of July. Now, his friends returned without him. He was found dead there 2 days later.
Our NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist has been following this case. He joins us with the latest. Aaron, good morning. We know no official cause of death has been released by authorities in Mississippi. What is it we're watching for today?
Well, we're here in Chicago because the family of Nolan Wells, as well as their attorney and the NAACP, are planning to release the preliminary results from the independent autopsy that was performed on Nolan. You'll remember Ben Crump, the family attorney, telling us just in the days after Nolan's body was found that they received the body from the state medical examiner and intended to have their own autopsy done. And now here we are more than a week later, and we're expecting to get, I should say, some of the information from the autopsy, some of that preliminary information. The local coroner is the one who controls the flow of information, if you will, as it relates to the state autopsy, the one that was performed in Mississippi. And we've been told that that report is not yet ready. But again, today we do expect to hear from Ben Crump, potentially from the parents of Nolan Wells, as they release these preliminary results from the independent autopsy that was performed in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, guys.
Aaron, we're also getting new video. This comes from TMZ this morning. Maybe this helps piece together anything in this investigation. What can you tell us about this video?
Yeah, it's still sort of up in the air whether this will help to piece together more details about the investigation. But you can see this is the video that TMZ posted saying that it was taken on Horn Island on July 4th. That was the last day we know that Nolan Wells was seen alive. Now, NBC News was able to match the location to previously verified video of the island from that day. And in the clip here, you can see it appears to show a man standing on the back of a boat, bending over there. The boat in the video we do know is not the one that Nolan took to the island on that day. The man's face is never really seen in this video, but the shorts there The shorts that he's wearing are similar to shorts that Nolan had in other pictures from that day. And two people who knew Nolan say that they believe it looks like him, but they can't be certain that it is him. We also know from TMZ's reporting that this video was dropped off at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. They, of course, are leading the investigation here. And we're told, Joe and Savannah, from that TMZ reporting that investigators have the video and are aware of it.
Aaron, we know that Nolan's family and their attorney, Ben Crump, have not reviewed the data on Nolan's phone with police yet. How important could that piece of the puzzle be after we learned what we learned today?
Yeah, there are so many questions about this phone. You may remember early on, Nolan's parents said that they believed some content had been deleted from the phone. When they looked at his Snapchat, for example, they believed that there was nothing there, which they said was unusual for Nolan. They know that he was constantly taking pictures and videos and thought he would have something saved on his Snapchat. And so for that reason, they believe something may have been deleted. We know that Ben Crump has said that his team, as well as the Jackson County Sheriff's Office forensic investigators, were going to sit down together physically and try to analyze that phone. That has not happened yet. Ben Crump said on Monday that they've not been able to schedule a time to do that. And so we're sort of looking to see when that is going to happen, because if there is something valuable there, if they're able to determine that yes or no, something was or wasn't deleted, if they're able to determine what was or wasn't deleted, it may provide some information about that day and what happened in the hours before Nolan was last seen alive, Joe and Savannah.
There's so much information we learn from phones in these investigations. All right, Aaron Gilchrist in Chicago. Aaron, thank you so much.
There's much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the hot new travel trend that has people shelling out for trips just because.
First, so after the break, nearly a year after that high-stakes jewel heist, the Louvre's famous Apollo Gallery is back open to the public today. But questions do still swirl around the brazen daytime robbery. Got more on that next.
Welcome back. Today in Paris, the gallery at the Louvre, where that shocking jewel heist took place, is reopening to the public, but with nothing on show. The museum's Apollo Gallery is still missing the crown jewels worth more than $100 million that were stolen back in October. And there are new questions about that mysterious theft. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez is in London with details for us. Raf, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Yeah, the Apollo Gallery opened its doors again this morning for the first time in nearly a year, but this case is very far from solved. 7 of those crown jewels are still missing, and the alleged mastermind behind the heist still at large.
9 months after a gang of jewel thieves burst into the Louvre's Apollo Gallery, pulling off a brazen daylight robbery that stuns the world, this morning the gallery is finally open once again. But the magnificent hall stands empty, a painful reminder that the stolen crown jewels are still missing, and one of France's greatest mysteries remains unsolved.
I was shocked when I heard it happened. I don't know what they did over 9 months. Hopefully they increased security.
Of the 8 priceless treasures taken, only this crown has been recovered. Dropped by the thieves and damaged, it was returned to the Louvre after DNA checks. While some of those behind the robbery may still be on the loose, police have arrested 4 men, including the pair seen here smashing the display cases before climbing down a ladder truck and escaping on mopeds. Both have low-level criminal records, police say. And according to the French newspaper Le Monde, they recently told investigators they were paid around $22,000 for the heist and handed the jewels over to a shadowy mastermind, who they refused to name in case he retaliates against their families. Days after the robbery last October, we met Alexandre Portier, a French lawmaker leading a parliamentary investigation into the heist.
Do you have confidence that French law enforcement will be able to find the thieves, find the jewels?
He told us then that he feared the jewels may already have been cut to pieces. And with each passing month, those fears only deepen. If there's any comfort, it may be in the smile of the Mona Lisa. She was stolen in 1911 but recovered 2 years later, restored to her rightful place at the heart of the world's most popular museum.
And authorities at the Louvre are understandably taking no chances with the remaining jewels that weren't stolen. They are going to be kept in a windowless underground vault. Public's not going to be able to see them. It's specially designed to keep them safe. Savannah, we should also say we reached out to French prosecutors who declined to comment and to defense lawyers for these men who didn't come back to us. Savannah.
All right, Raf, thank you.
Staying overseas, there is a new teenager in the royal family. We're talking, of course, about Prince George, the oldest child of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and second in line to the British throne. He is celebrating his 13th birthday today.
William and Kate mark George's official entry into his teenage years with a new portrait of the young royal. It's a milestone moment for the prince, who we first met way back in 2013 when his proud parents carried him outside St. Mary's Hospital in London. NBC News correspondent Kaylee Hartung is here with a look back at the birthday boy's life so far and what's next for the royal teen. Hey, Kaylee.
Hey, good morning, guys. It is the dawn of a new chapter for the royal family with a teenager in the house. And you can imagine the family will treasure this special moment because in just a matter of weeks, George will be leaving the house to head to boarding school.
He will one day be the King of England, but today, Prince George takes on another title. He's officially a teenager. This morning, his parents, William and Catherine, releasing a new photo to celebrate his 13th birthday. The young royal has been out and about this summer, learning the ropes of official duties. Standing nearly as tall as his mother at Wimbledon, and at Trooping the Color ceremonies marking his grandfather, King Charles' birthday last month. The heir to the throne has been celebrated since birth. A massive crowd gathering at the hospital as Prince William and Princess Kate introduced their firstborn. At just 8 months old, he joined his parents on an overseas tour to Australia and New Zealand. And by age 3, he was already comfortable with heads of state.
Last week, Prince George showed up to our meeting in his bathrobe.
Watching and learning from King Charles and his great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, along the way, serving as a page of honor at his grandfather's coronation in 2023. And last year, sitting side by side with his parents, studying the art of the royal touch at official events. And while George's younger siblings, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, also appear in public, their parents say they try to keep their family's life as normal and private as possible.
We try to make sure we give them the security and the safety that they need. And we're a very open family, so we talk about things that bother us and things that trouble us.
Their close family bond seen earlier this summer.
I'm so grateful to be here, to be strong enough to walk these hills.
As they celebrated a major milestone in Princess Kate's cancer recovery as she completed the 3 Peaks Challenge in just 24 hours. Next, it'll be Prince George who faces a new challenge as he soon follows in his father's footsteps, taking on the white tie and tails of Eton College.
It's been, the school that educated 20 prime ministers. About 6 other members of the royal family have been there as students. And crucially for William and Kate, it's a very short distance from their home at Forest Lodge. So George will be able to visit regularly at weekends.
So you can't help but notice how tall 13-year-old Prince George is getting. You see him inching up on his mom, Kate. Mind you, she's 5'9", and Prince William,
pretty tall.
He is 6'3". You'd think this boy is going to keep growing.
Is he going to be like 6'6" or something?
Could he be the tallest British monarch ever? So that title is held by King Edward IV, who was all of 6'4", a giant in the 15th century.
Yeah.
Prince William is 6'3". So we'll see. We'll see how young George keeps growing.
All right, so many things to keep an eye on. Who knew that was in the cards now? All right. Thank you, Kaylee.
Thank you.
Coming up, New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani not mincing words when it comes to the Middle East.
He's now calling on the federal government to arrest Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But could that actually happen? Your daily politics fix is up next.
We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with new comments from New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. NBC News political reporter Megan Brand has that and other headlines. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, let's start in New York City, where Mayor Zoran Mamdani said in a video that the city does not have the legal authority to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York for the UN General Assembly in September. Mamdani instead called on the federal government to join the International Criminal Court and enforce the court's warrant for Netanyahu's arrest. But that is not going to happen. That's because the U.S. is not a party to the ICC. And President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu are allies. President Trump has also said that Netanyahu won't be arrested, quote, in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America. Next, let's go to Maine. That's where former state Senate President Troy Jackson is poised to be the Democratic nominee for Senate. This will be his first time as a nominee for federal office. The Washington Post published information about Jackson previously having heated confrontations, but Jackson said that people know he's passionate about the issues. Voters at county party meetings last week had indicated to NBC as well that he's well liked by these Democrats who are particularly invested in politics. Finally, let's go to Cuba, where the U.S. sent a flight of humanitarian relief. The State Department said that the flight was the first under Secretary of State Marco Rubio's commitment to provide $100 million worth of humanitarian assistance to Cubans. The kits were delivered by the group Catholic Relief Services and included prepackaged food and hygiene kits for up to 700 Cuban families, the department said. This also comes as the Trump administration has put pressure on the Cuban government by tightening sanctions and cutting off the oil supply. And that's a look at what's making news in politics this morning. Joe?
All right, Megan, thank you so much. An Idaho family is speaking out about the deeply personal impact of new laws aimed at transgender youth. In recent years, Idaho has enacted several laws restricting gender-affirming care, bathroom access, and other rights for transgender people. Lawmakers who support those laws say their intent is to protect children, but critics, including the parents of trans kids and the doctors who care for those children, say the measures increase discrimination against trans people, and that puts them at a greater risk of self-harm, especially among trans youth. NBC Out reporter Joe Yerkeba spoke with one Idaho family. Their 16-year-old daughter died by suicide. Her parents are now speaking out, offering a window into the tragic effect that legislation and political rhetoric can have. Joe, good morning. Good to have you with us. Just start out by telling us about May Pollard and why May's parents are choosing to speak out.
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, so May was born and raised in Boise. Her favorite animal was sloths. She grew up and loved going to the zoo with her older brother, Axel. As she got older, she became a really incredible poet. She was an amazing writer. She loved video games and was fascinated by lucid dreaming. And she came out as a transgender girl in middle school, and that was when her parents noticed her really starting to struggle more emotionally. And her parents are speaking out now because as she settled more into herself, they saw living in Idaho and its conservative culture have a really severe negative effect on her.
As you note in your story on NBCnews.com, suicide is complex. It stems from a combination of causes, so it can't be attributed to just one factor. But you do note that May's life and death do offer a glimpse into the effect of anti-trans rhetoric and legislation. The American Civil Liberties Union says Idaho's Governor Brad Little has signed into law 15 bills aimed at LGBTQ plus rights. Supporters of these laws say the goal is to protect children. But walk us through what May's family and just other Idaho residents who are impacted by these laws have told you about how the policies have changed their daily lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just 15 signed by the time May died. There have been 5 more signed since then in the last 6 months. And there are a few of those laws in particular that affected May. One was a law that prohibited transgender students from using the bathrooms that aligned with their gender identities at school. And that law resulted in May basically avoiding eating or drinking all day long at school so that she didn't have to use the restroom. And when she did, she was allowed to use 3 gender-neutral restrooms on the high school's campus. But May said that one of them was known as the trans bathroom, and she hated using that because she didn't want everyone at school to know she was trans, so using it would essentially out her. May was also affected by the state's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, which resulted in her and her mom, Elise, having to travel more than 13 hours round trip by car to get care in Portland, Oregon. And that made May's access to care really fragile. Anytime there was a delay, like took longer for a prescription to get filled or something, she would become more anxious and withdrawn. And as you said, suicide is complex, but her family absolutely believed that the cumulative effect of these policies had a really severely negative effect on her.
And with that in mind, Joe, have Idaho lawmakers who support these laws responded at all to your reporting or to what May's family has said?
No, we unfortunately haven't received any response to our request for comment to any of the lawmakers who supported these policies.
Joe, last summer, May joined a lawsuit under the pseudonym Jane Doe to challenge an Idaho state law that bans trans students from using bathrooms or locker rooms aligning with their gender identities. Real quick, how did that suit play out?
So the lawsuit was basically allowed to take effect just before May started 11th grade. And since then, there were two students who were still plaintiffs in the suit, and it was May and one other student. And of course, May died in January, and then the other student graduated. And as a result, Lambda Legal moved to voluntarily dismiss the suit in May. The Attorney General celebrated that dismissal. We reached out to his office for comment on the way this law and others affect students like May and did not receive a response.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Much more on NBCnews.com. If you or someone you know is in crisis, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline or chat live at 988-Lifeline.org. If you are an LGBTQ young person in crisis feeling suicidal or need a place to talk, you can also call the Trevor Project at the number right there on your screen. Morning News Now will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Who says you need a honeymoon or anniversary to plan a romantic getaway? A new survey of 1,000 U.S. adults commissioned by tour operator J-Way finds more than 60% of couples have taken or are planning a so-called just because romantic trip. That's nearly double the number planning anniversary getaways. Apparently, just because is reason enough. Travel expert Katie Nastro from Going.com joins us now. So I'm going to ask you why people are doing this, but I guess the answer is just because. No, but do we know more about why people are doing this?
Yeah, Joe, look, I'm so glad that we're seeing this trend because oftentimes people get stuck in the trap of waiting until one of those big milestone moments to then take that trip, or maybe not even take that trip at all, and also miss out on savings because maybe a deal popped up and they didn't take it because they're trying to plan for a moment. So we're seeing an increase in these just because trips, specifically from millennials and Gen Zs, these younger generations. And what you can actually tie this to more specifically is the fact that younger generations are getting married later. They are deprioritizing marriage in general for other big moments or goals in their lives. And waiting for, say, a marriage or even just a proposal trip or a honeymoon anniversary, they're saying, no, we want to go just because. And I always think that the biggest test of a relationship is spending a 14-hour flight together. So there you go.
There you go. Then you can determine if you want to get married to the person.
Exactly.
The survey looks into younger adults' travel habits, as you're alluding to here. 43% of Gen Z respondents say achieving a major life goal. We're talking about paying off debt, buying a home. That's something worth celebrating. Tell us more about that trend.
Definitely. And we're seeing this coming out of the pandemic, that younger generations are really feeling the pinch when it comes to costs of living and other expenses. And they are really prioritizing the travel spend category. And it's really a non-negotiable. 74% of Americans have stated, according to Amex, that they are prioritizing that category, specifically those younger demographics. And so it's no surprise that Gen Z is saying we want to take these trips and we want to celebrate these big moments because we don't know if we can afford these bigger moments down the road.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah. Do it while you can. All right, just because does not mean last minute, right? It's like 3 to 12 months of planning people have. So how do you find the best deals for something?
Yeah, we want travel. We want couples specifically to not think that they need a ton of time to plan, but also, you know, a last-minute romantic getaway can sound super whimsical, but your wallet will thank you for planning a little bit ahead. So big piece of advice for domestic trips, you want to plan at least a month in advance to take advantage of deals that are left. For international trips, at least 2 months in advance. And, you know, flexibility is going to be your biggest sort of friend there. But if you were planning something last minute right now, target the southeastern U.S. as well as Caribbean and Mexico for something that's romantic but closer to home.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, if you are someone who's doing a last-minute thing, your just because moment happened very suddenly and you must escape. What's your best trip for finding something affordable?
Oh, gosh. Always flexibility is going to be your biggest bet. But if you can, I would try to actually target the shoulder season that we're going to come into very soon. September, October, places like Hawaii, for example, always historically a romantic getaway, sees the fewest amount of travelers, as well as we're seeing deals up to 50% off for that time period. So if you can just wait a little bit, you're going to take advantage of the savings there.
All right, Katie Nastro, good to have you with us. Just because and so much
Just
more.
because.
All right. When it comes to reading, it might be love, actually, that's boosting the publishing industry. Print sales of romance fiction books have nearly doubled in the last 5 years. Now, one former marketing manager has decided to turn the page and build a new career around that growing passion. She also built a whole new community of book lovers along the way. NBC Today co-host Dylan Dreyer traveled to California to see just how she did it.
Powell wanted a career that wasn't by the book.
I spent most of my career marketing for other people's products and helping them build their brands, but I just felt like I wanted to do something for myself, something that I was truly excited to market, and something that has always been a big passion of mine is reading.
And she picked a genre that is her one true love.
And because I read so much romance, it naturally became a romance book truck.
She thought about opening a small bookstore.
But one day I walked past a vintage Volkswagen truck and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I found one, and the rest is history.
She named her 1968 Volkswagen the Fluria and tricked it out as Southern California's first romance bookstore on wheels. Stephanie learned how to drive a stick shift, and the Fluria hit the road in 2025. Today, she's on the road full-time with pop-ups at flea markets, coffee shops, dinners, author events, and audio book walks.
I used to wonder all the time, how do adults make friends? I think through our shared love of books, I've been able to not only bring people together, I've been able to meet some of the best friends I've ever had.
This monthly book swap at a brewery is a cornerstone of her business.
This was my first time here, but literally seeing the community of everybody who loves reading, I think it's so cool. I just saw how everybody is obsessed with the books and the characters and the authors, and how people can create such a beautiful just ambiance and vibe.
The Fluria is in good company. Love is in the air when it comes to top-grossing book genres.
Romance has a formula where you know that it's going to end with a happily ever after. So I think in that sense, romance is more safe genre and really a nice fantasy to escape from the world.
Recently, the Fluria expanded to an Airstream trailer to keep up with growing demand.
It's not common to see a group of women just coming together and doing something that's interesting. So the fact that she's bringing people together like this is really cool. Yeah.
Stephanie says following her dream isn't without a plot twist.
I felt more fulfilled and happy in my day-to-day. I also feel like I've never worked so much in my life.
Our thanks to Dylan Dreyer for bringing us that story. A 2025 report by Circana Bookscan found romance novels are one of the fastest growing categories in print publishing. Experts say the genre has moved far beyond the old chick lit stereotype with more inclusive stories, relatable characters, and stronger, more independent heroines. When you think of an orchestra, chances are you're picturing tuxedos and long gowns, maybe a little Mozart and a concert hall, but one orchestra is doing things differently. They're called Orchestra Noir, and the ensemble blends classical music with hip-hop, R&B, and soul. NBC News Stay Tuned producer Nicole Machete spent some time with the group to see and hear how they're changing the score.
For a lot of people, this isn't what they expect an orchestra to sound like. Or look like. But this isn't your average orchestra.
Orchestra Noir is Atlanta's all-black orchestra. It celebrates black music, R&B, hip-hop, as well as jazz, and celebrates the joy of orchestral music.
Founder and maestro Jason Akeem Rogers is the man behind it all.
Born and raised in North Philly, there was, hip hop and R&B going on in the neighborhood, and that was the culture, and that's what I sort of grew up with. And somewhere when I was in the 6th grade, I heard classical music. It was namely Beethoven for Elise, and ever since then, I was a fanatic about classical music.
Rogers trained at the Cleveland Institute of Music and UNC School of the Arts. After performing and conducting all over the globe, he says he realized something.
I just wanted more representation. I feel like we were underrepresented in the orchestral world. So I said, let's do an all-black orchestra.
So he did, blending both of his worlds seamlessly. As the musical director, Rogers conducts, composes, and arranges each piece, making sure everything they do is intentional. From the music to the atmosphere. Tiffany Good is the group's only female trumpet and fugal player.
It's a reimagining
of what orchestral music could and can be.
Good is just one of a number of Orchestra Noir's classically trained musicians who are turning some of the industry's biggest hits into symphonic showpieces.
You're hearing the greatest hip hop being told through an orchestral lens.
We caught up with the orchestra during a stop in D.C. on their national tour.
What can people expect when they come to a show?
You can expect to dance. You can expect to be on your feet. Dancing for me is so important because it's basically the highest expression of the body, the most exalted expression of the human body. And just to be able to give that to people is just so rewarding.
But it's not just about grooving in your seat.
To be a representation to other young African-American kids so they know that after college there's still an avenue for them, but also allows them to dive into their culture and do things that they love to do. And to be able to do that and provide that for them is everything.
For Orchestra Noir, that future is already taking the stage.
Our thanks to Nicole Majete for that story. Coming up, who says a summer off from school can't be productive? After the break, we're going to introduce you to the two New York City classmates who are not playing around when it comes to their hopes of etching their names into the record books. We'll explain next on Morning News Now. We end this hour in New York City, where two 8-year-olds turn their summer break into the ultimate jungle gym journey. Classmates Hannah Bruner and Wilder McGraw set out to break the unofficial world record for the most NYC playgrounds visited in a single day. The number of stops to beat, 26. Well, after 9 hours and 21 miles of sliding, climbing, and biking with the help of their parents, they managed to hit 41 playgrounds across the west side of Manhattan. We are so excited to have the playground masters here in studio with me this morning. Hannah and her mom, Jasenia, are here, as well as Wilder and his dad, Ross. Thank you all for coming in bright and early this morning to talk about this. This is exciting. Hannah, how did you even get this idea in the first place?
I got this idea when me and my mom were just sitting in the park one day, and we visited like 5 playgrounds that day. And then we wondered what the world record for how many playgrounds visited in a day was, and there was only 26, so we decided to beat it.
Only 26, huh?
Yeah.
So you hear this and you're thinking, how is this going to be possible? How did you make this happen? Were you worried?
Well, I actually wasn't worried, because as soon as we started brainstorming and thinking of the playgrounds we visit all the time, I think the number was already something like 26. And so then we started working from there to build the list, and that's how we ended up with a list of 40 playgrounds. And then we found one extra playground while we were out.
Ooh, a bonus.
And that's how we got our 41.
All right, so I have to ask you both, and I'm going to ask you at the same time to tell me what your favorite piece of equipment was while visiting these 41. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Sprinklers.
Sprinklers. Now, those could be. Tell me about these sprinklers, Wilder. What were they like? What makes them so special?
Like, they were just squirting on us, and it was really fun. But we had to change our shoes because it was really wet.
So you had a little bit of a pit stop there, right? Was it a hot day when you did this?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Morning hot.
What was the best part of doing this, of visiting all these parks, Hannah?
Well, I mean, I don't really know.
It was fun, though, right?
Yeah, it was really fun.
Wilder, did you have a favorite besides the sprinklers? What made you want to do this? Why'd you love it so much?
Because I've always wanted to break a world record.
There. So you're competitive, is what you're telling
Yeah.
us. So, I mean, were the slides the best part? Were the swings the best part? Besides the sprinklers, what else did you really get into?
I really liked the climbing structures, you know, like with the nets.
A little bit of climbing in there with the nets? Because there was
going over there.
Because some things were newer and some things were older, right? Did you find you liked the newer stuff more, or some of the old school classic things?
I like the new ones.
The new ones?
Yeah.
Wilder, all right. So you had to play a role here in mapping this out, right? Because there's strategy in doing this in 9 hours.
Yeah, well, Jasenia did the hard work by finding the playgrounds, but they needed another transporter.
Yeah.
So I drew a little bit of a bike route of where we could ride and where we couldn't ride. And we got a second e-bike so we could get both kids playground to playground. We figured the hardest part was the in-between.
Yeah,
They were
exactly.
great at playing. They're experts at playing.
And you guys just had to go along with this, right? Or did you, or were you just all in on playing on all the equipment?
I mean, I wasn't going to let him have all the fun, for sure. But to officially submit the record, we wanted to have some adults on it. It's a little finicky with kids.
Yeah.
So to make sure they had a chance at it, we figured we're also going to play on at least one thing at each playground.
If you must, right?
Yes.
And you are still waiting to find out if you have officially broken the record. So hopefully that'll come sometime soon.
Yeah, it could take a little while. We've heard it can take quite some time, but so far no news. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Real quick, Jasenia, what's there's a lesson in this, right? I mean, what can we all take away from this experience, do you think?
Well, for me, I'm really proud of the kids because they came up with this extremely ambitious plan and they were actually able to execute it. And I feel like if they can do this at 8, they're just going to be unstoppable.
I think it is. Are you guys unstoppable?
Yeah.
Do you think you can do 42 in a day?
Yes.
Yes? You're already thinking about it, aren't you? I can tell. All right. Hannah Wilder, Jasenia Ross, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. Let us know if you get the world record, all right?
Thank you.
All right. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.